Hi, welcome to Switching Mindsets. This is Anuradha, and today I'm chatting with June Edward, a psychic medium and relationship expert. She's also the author of All's Fair in Love and Karma, Five Steps to Relationship Mastery, and A Night on the Other Side, Insights and Conversations from Heaven. Hi, June. Great to
Hi, how
have
are you?
you. Have I missed
Oh, thank you
anything?
for having me.
Any more books?
Well, I've written four actually. They're
Okay.
on my website. Yeah, I have a Destiny card journal as well, and my autobiography is there as well.
Okay, great. So that's juneedward.com, right?
Correct.
Okay, and I'll put it up in the description as well. So, hi, June. And like I said, since you're a psychic medium, that takes precedence over everything else. So, tell me, what is a medium, basically? Let's start with that.
So, medium basically means middle. So, I'm the middle person facilitating a conversation between someone in this world and someone in the other world. I'm like the radio.
That's great. And you catch the right frequency, basically. Let's like
Exactly.
a radio.
Yeah.
So tell me how this started. You said that you had these abilities when you were a child and then you kind of just shut it off and then it all came back
I
later.
did. Yeah. I was born with a lot of ability. A lot of children are. And when you're a child, you don't have any context. So the first memory that I have was probably around the age of 3. I woke up in the morning with someone calling my name, thought it was my parents, went into their bedroom, and they were fast asleep. So I went back into my bed and I started noticing faces in my room looking at me, and it scared me. So I pulled the sheet up over my face, and as the sun started to come up, I started to see the shadow of them like right up against me. And it just freaked me out. I don't know if I ever slept in that bedroom again, to be quite honest with you. But then I started seeing, I saw people going through the house. I thought maybe they were visiting. I didn't know. I was young, and who knew? I didn't know if anybody else saw them. And I come from a large family, and when I asked, I was told that those are the people that died in the jealousy porch in the back on the yard. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And as I got older, I just knew things before they were going to happen. So, when I was in school, I would tell everybody what was going to happen and quickly got labeled a freak. So you stop doing that. And then when I was about 10 years old, my parents had split up, and my job was to do the dishes in the afternoon. And I didn't know anybody. And there was a woman in her 40s who used to keep me company and talk to me when I did the dishes every night. So one day I asked my older brother who she was, and I don't know if he saw her, didn't see her. I thought she was real. And he started laughing and told me that she was the woman that used to live there. Her husband was a drunk and threw her down the basement stairs and killed her. It scared me so much, she must have felt it. She never came back. And it made me understand why I never liked going in that basement. That basement would scare me. But from that point on, I really tried to block it as much as I could. When someone died, if anybody in the family knew them, they would immediately come to me. I couldn't stop that. That's the only thing I couldn't stop. And I would tell whoever it was in the family, oh, so and so died last night. And they're like, no way. I just saw him yesterday. He's fine. I'm telling you, he died last night. Sure enough, they'd check it out, and he did. So yeah, it's something that our brain blocks it when we have fear. And I had fear, so I blocked it most of my life. I still had intuition, which is my psychic ability, but I definitely was blocking the mediumship part of my abilities. That knowing that you have that there's something you're supposed to do, that's your psychic ability. That's what you really need to listen to. And I was fortunate enough to still know that I was supposed to be listening to that. And it shaped my life from then on. It really did.
Yeah, I love that story about the woman who gave you company while you did your dishes as a child. I was a 10-year-old. I read it in your book as well, and I was going to ask you, so I'm so glad you mentioned it. It's such a lovely
And
story. What
then,
did she talk to you about?
who knows? Just, random stuff, I guess. I don't know. She was basically just keeping me company, and I
So sweet.
appreciated it.
And maybe you were good company for her after a long time.
Probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Sorry, I'm being a
Yeah,
bit
I'm sure.
flippant here. So,
She was lost. But then I was going through a divorce and having a lot of trouble in my business. And I went to see a Reiki master to have some Reiki done to relax. And she recommended that I meditate. And like every one of my students tells me, I can't meditate. I can't shut my brain off. I was running 5 businesses at the time, taking care of my mom who was dying, you know, going through a divorce. It's like, there's no way. And the first time that I tried it, it was like they kicked the door in from the other side. She's ready. And I could not shut it off. It came back 1,000 times stronger than before. I didn't know what to do. I started calling every psychic medium I could find. How do I stop this? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? You're a medium. Well, I can't do that. Well, what do you do? I'm like, what do you mean you can't do that? It was nuts. And it's the old adage that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I was very fortunate that the universe brought me 2 wonderful teachers to teach me how to control the ability, how to turn it on, how to turn it off, how to recognize the difference in the energy so I know who I'm truly speaking with. And then the universe just took over from there.
Yeah, I read that you just couldn't turn it off. So everybody you met, everybody you came in contact with, you could just see what's going on with them, or they were just
It was
rushing through your head,
crazy.
spirits. What was
It was just
happening?
crazy. You know, I was working in my business as a medical esthetician, taking the overflow. And the first client I had that morning, I walked into the room, sat down. I'm like, did your aunt just die? And she's like, yeah, how'd you know that? And I'm like, I have no idea how I knew that. I'm like, did you clean her house out this weekend? She goes, yeah, this past weekend we went through the house and cleaned everything out. I'm like, did you find one of those sock puppets from the 1950s that looks like a monkey? And she's like, yeah, we found one in the attic. I'm like, oh my God, how random is this stuff, right? This is crazy. Now I'm like, is she just going along with me? I don't know what's going on. The next one that comes in the room, I'm like, something's going on. I don't know quite what it is, but stuff keeps coming to me. I'm like, are you worried about your husband? And she's like, yeah, it's the first time he's traveled to Florida without me. I said, well, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. I said, do you live in a little A-frame house on the water? She's like, no, we live in a white raised ranch down the street. I'm like, oh, okay. Finished her appointment. She goes to check out. She comes running back to the room with her phone. She goes, oh my God, look at this, look at this. Her husband had sent her a message while she was in her appointment, and it was a picture of a little A-frame house on the water in Florida, and says, look, I found our next house. And it just continued. The last one that came in was a younger woman, and there was a soldier in full uniform following her in the room. And I'm like, are you a widow? And she's like, yeah, my husband passed a little over a year ago. I'm like, oh God, this got to be your husband. I'm like, if he had any messages or anything for you, would you want to know? She's like, absolutely not. I'm like, oh my God. So now I got this guy standing next to me the entire time, and I'm like, I'm sorry, she does not want to hear from you. I'm so sorry. It was a little unnerving.
Yeah, so he couldn't pass on his message. How sad is that?
That's, but it's not my place to
Yeah.
interrupt and interfere. If someone doesn't want to know, then that's maybe they're not supposed to know at that point in time. That's not my judgment call. I have to honor what people and respect what people want for themselves.
Yeah. So tell me, what are the reasons that people come to you from the other side? Because some of it just sounds random, casual, fun. So,
So,
hmm.
now that I've been very, very well trained, so they are not allowed to come through to me unless I'm working. It's that simple. Unless it's an emergency, and I've only had 2 souls that have been able to come through to me in emergencies. Because you have to be able to turn it on and off like a light switch. You can't work all the time or you'll just go crazy. I mean, I still see them. I went into the grocery store one day and I saw a guy who was very disheveled, kind of looked like a bum near the front door. And I gave him a second look, which was my mistake. When I gave him the second look, he's like, you can see me. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, I'm not working. I'm sorry. I'm shopping. Oh, no, no, no. You need to talk to me. You can see me. I said, I'm sorry, but I'm not working right now. And he was very angry, and he picked up a loaf of like hamburger rolls. There was a display of hamburger and hot dog rolls at the door, and he threw it at me. And it only went maybe about 3 or 4 feet. But the woman at the register was standing there and saw it. And she's like, "Oh my God, did you see that? Those hamburgers just came off the shelf." I just laughed and kept walking. But yeah, they can get a little upset if, if you're not giving them what it is they're looking for. Now that was a ghost. So the energy's different. They're stuck here, and that's why I gave them a second look, because their energy feels the same as a living person. So I gave it a double take to see if he was real, and oh my goodness, that was a mistake.
That's crazy, really.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
have
they're
working
everywhere.
hours that the spirits follow. How do you communicate it to them? That now I'm open
So
for business, now I'm shut.
when you do mediumship, you have a gatekeeper. Okay, my gatekeeper, I've only talked to him. He's only talked to me twice. I've talked to him, but he's only spoken to me twice. And he got in my face once. He's an American Indian brave. And we have an agreement because I am always in charge. When you do this work, you are always in charge. So, for instance, when I was doing missing person cases and someone came to me with a murder investigation, um, I allow them to show me what happened, but I don't want to see the blood and gore. So they were able to show me the entire murder scene without that. So they can show me what happened, where they put things, who it was that did it, all of that without giving me the blood and gore. So you're in
Okay.
charge. So, and that's the
Mm.
agreement. He's also the one that lines everyone up. I remember the first time I ever did a very large audience, there was probably 150, 200 people in the audience. And I sat there and froze for a second. And I'm like, oh my God, what happens if no one comes through? What happens if they're the wrong person? And I heard him say to me, I do my job, you do your job. And he's the one that lines them up and tells me where to go.
How do you know? Isn't it scary? Like how do you know you're not just hearing voices? Suppose it just happens for somebody out of the blue. Your guardian angel starts speaking to you or something like that.
It does happen to people sometimes out of the blue. Like I said, when I was a little girl and I heard someone call my voice, call my name, right? I heard that out of the blue. It happens. And if it's not telling you go jump off a bridge, or well, it could happen that way too if it's demonic. I guess it gets down to discernment. You have to understand discernment. You think you're crazy? Are you always hearing voices? Are you talking to yourself constantly? I mean, either you got a lot of money in the bank or you're crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I teach people how energy works, because everything in the world and everything in the universe is energy, and you have to be able to feel and understand that energy. We're limited in this 3D body what we can see with our eyes, right? Because the shape of our eyes, how the light refracts and hits our eyes. Animals can see things that we can't see because the shape of their eyes, right? And the color and depth perception. I see energy. I've seen energy since I was a kid. So when a ghost has fully formed as an energetic soul here, I can see them. When an angel comes through, I can see it very, very clearly. Most of the time, when a soul comes through from the other side, they manifest themselves with their energy. I can see them. Um, some people can, some people can't. I will give you a great example, though, of what stops people from seeing them, other than your eyes,
Yeah.
is your brain. When you're in this 3D body, you've got that brain in your head. Well, your brain is not just a computer processing all your information, it's there to protect you. That's its main job. How does it do that? It does it by creating fear. And most people are making their decisions based on fear. When my dad was dying, he was 93 years old. I used to go see him often, and he says to me one day, I want to talk to you about what you do. I said, oh, that's interesting. You thought I was crazy. What do you want to know? Well, I want to know why every morning when I wake up, I see my mother standing next to the bed. I said, well, Dad, she's going to be one of the ones that helps you to make sure you go into the light and cross over to the other side. No, 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 no. That's not what I want to know. What do you want to know, Dad? I want to know why every time I wake up, I see her, but then within a few seconds, she kind of disappears. I'm like, Dad, she hasn't gone anywhere. She's still standing right next to me. You can't see her because your brain kicks in and you can't believe that she's actually there. It's fear. If you get rid of that fear, it's amazing the things that you start to see. It's incredible.
Yeah, it sounds incredible, really. Tell me, you were talking about the missing persons and, finding them. How does that work? Any case that you can talk about?
Um, so basically, it would be the soul from the other side that's giving me the information. Um, with the exception of, I did a little girl that was kidnapped um, by a family member, and they had no idea where she had been taken or if she was even alive. And the information that I was getting from the other side was really coming through. I'd have to say it was probably coming through her guardian angel who wanted to keep her safe on the other side. It wasn't coming from the little girl itself. But when it's a murder victim or someone that's passed to the other side, it's coming from them directly.
Okay. So how did they help you? How do the spirits help you? Is it the spirits who come and they give you the clues? Or is it like
It is, yeah.
you have
They
your
held a
guardian angel?
conversation and tell me that, they'll tell me what's going on. I mean, I had one that was a missing person case that um, we didn't know he had passed because his energy was coming through the same to me as if he was still a living person because he had not gone into the light. He did not want his family to know he had passed. He knew they weren't ready for that information yet. And he had us going on a wild goose chase. I mean, I literally was with them up in Boston passing out flyers and talking to people that may have seen him. And what his wife realized after was he was sending us everywhere he used to work. Everywhere he used to work, he was sending us. Um, so when they finally found his body, I had his family come over and I called on him. He had actually come with the family because he couldn't move that fast. He had not gone into the light. He was still stuck here as a ghost, basically, with a lower vibration. So I moved him into the light. He came back immediately. And the first thing out of his mouth was that he wanted to get his wife a wedding ring. And I'm like, I don't understand why he's saying he wanted to get you a wedding ring. She goes, well, we weren't really married. I'm like, oh, that explains that. But she agreed that they were not ready to know that he had passed. He had Alzheimer's and had gone astray out of a nursing home and gotten lost into the woods. But yeah, it was great to finally get some closure from him. But it's difficult sometimes if they don't want you to know that they've passed, or because they'll tell you what they want you to know. That's the reality. I only know what they tell me and what they give me.
Okay. Yeah, it's not like you know more than, you know everything, just omniscient or something.
I
Okay.
only know what
Hmm.
they tell me and what they give me. And if they don't want me to know the truth, and I brought a man through one time who had taken his own life. And it was his girlfriend who was sitting for the reading. And he thought he had been hit by lightning. When I brought him through from the other side, he thought he had been hit by lightning. And he had also bought her an engagement ring. He wanted to marry her. She didn't know that. But then she let me know what happened, and he was standing right there listening to that. And when he realized that was what happened, that he'd hung himself, he was so despondent, and he was very upset because he didn't understand that. He had been on medication. He had been, I guess, he had some type of a medical issue or a surgery or something. They had him on medication, and either the medication went wrong or he was drinking with it. Something happened that triggered him to be able to take his own life like that. And that's usually the case. Most people don't do it with a clear head. But he was very surprised to learn that that was what happened because in his mind it wasn't processing properly at the time, right? And he thought he was hit by lightning. Um, it's interesting when they do take their own life like that because that's never written into your plan. You write your plan before you come here, and that's an out that is never written into your plan. And before they can reincarnate and come back again, they have to get a lot of counseling from the ascended masters and the angels because they want to make sure it doesn't happen again. It creates a lot of work for everybody on the other side to fix all the connections on this side when you die outside of your life plan. And you can. You can.
Yeah. So what is this life plan? Like, I was re going through your book as well, and I was listening to another talk you did somewhere. So we decide everything. You compare it to a Monopoly game where we have all these checkpoints, and we decide
Yeah,
what we want to
it's
do, what lessons.
extremely complicated because the universe wants you to think you have choice, right? But reality is the choice that you have is whether or not you're going to delay the lessons that you came here to learn. And you can delay them for your entire lifetime and still have to come back and learn them the next time if you're that stubborn. Um, but, the choices will always take you in a circle. And for instance, say you're supposed to be learning self-worth and you're refusing to learn that lesson and you keep dating and going out with people that are physically and mentally abusing you, and you leave that relationship and you go to the next one that does the same thing. You just keep repeating the same circle until you've learned the lesson, and when you finally learn that lesson of self-worth, you can go on to the next lesson if that needs to be relearned or reinforced in your soul. These are soul lessons. And by learning these lessons, this is how you advance on the other side to a higher realm.
Okay, so we pick everything.
We do. We pick, but
Okay.
again, this
Or is
it's
it just the
so
big events?
complicated.
Huh?
It's very complicated because say you pick door A, you they offer you door A, B, and C, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You take door A, you go through it, you get married, you have children, you get divorced. Where are you going to be? In front of door A, B, and C again. Most people, creatures of habit, haven't learned the lesson. They take door A again. They go through it, they get married, they have more kids, they get divorced, they're in front of A, B, and C again. If you learn the lesson you're supposed to be learning, it may, you're going to end up in front of A, B, and C, but you're not taking A anymore. You're going to take door B or C because you've learned that lesson. And you may still go through that and get married and divorced again, but it's not going to be because of what the first two, times you went through there. It'll be completely different because you learned that lesson. And that's what it's all about, learning the lessons. So again, you have that choice of going through that little circle until you learn the lesson, but the universe will step in if you're too far off your path. So let's say you got a job offer, you're supposed to move across the country, and you don't want to go. I don't know anybody there. My friends and family are here. I'm not going to go. Well, if you're supposed to go, maybe you're supposed to save somebody's life. Maybe you're supposed to meet the love of your life. Maybe you're going to have a family. Who knows what it is you're supposed to be doing when you get there. But if you're adamant that you're not going, the universe is going to make you go. Maybe they'll burn your house down. Maybe they'll have you lose your job. Something will happen that make you decide that, you know what, I'm just going to go. And that's how it works.
Yeah.
You
So that you
can't.
realize later, okay, oh, that was good for me. Much
Right. And
later.
you can always look back at the tragedies in your life and see how something good came out of it. And if that hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened, right? That's how it works. It's terrible when you're going through it, but it's like anything else. Life is supposed to be a roller coaster ride because you would not appreciate the good times if you haven't experienced the lower times, right? That's how it's meant to be, so that you learn how to be grateful and you learn how to want more of the good stuff in your life. It's that simple.
Yeah, but I wish there was a clue that told us that this is the path we're on. And otherwise,
There
we
is a
were going
clue.
into it blind. Huh.
There absolutely is a clue, and that is your soul and your intuition. It's the knowing. It's the difference between I think and I know. Okay? Give you a crazy story. Before my abilities fully developed and opened up, my children were very young. I was going through my first divorce, and I was unable to find decent daycare for my youngest one. And at the time, he was about 10 months old. And was running a restaurant, and I had him in the playpen in the kitchen. I'm like, I can't keep doing this. And all of a sudden, it was like, I just kind of, I have to open a daycare. And I just knew I had to open a daycare. Mind you, I had no background in early childhood at the time. I didn't know the first thing about daycare regulations in the state, but I knew I was supposed to do this. So I put my business on the market and sold it. And what little money I made from that, I looked for a building. rented the building. As soon as I saw the building, I knew, again, I just knew this is the building. Went in, ended up buying all the contents from the building and sold that and made enough money to renovate what I needed to do to get this thing open and running. It's because I just knew. And all my friends and family like, you are crazy. You are going to lose everything you've got. You don't know what you're doing. I'm like, I know I'm supposed to do this. And they brought everybody that was supposed to be together to help me and work with me because I knew this is what I was supposed to do. And that is your clue in life. And, if you learn how to get in touch with your soul, and that's another one of the things that I do teach, you are not the suit that sits here. Okay, we're not what we're looking at. We are the soul inside. That's who we truly are. But your soul is way too big for this body. Some of your soul is stuffed in your body. Some of it people can see over you, and they call that an aura. That's a part of your soul that's right outside your body. And the majority of your soul, the largest part they call the higher self, is in the lowest level of heaven, which is the fifth dimension. And that has all the knowledge of all your lifetimes, and it orchestrates the timing of the events that happen in this lifetime. Okay? So, in order to get more knowledge and get more in touch with your soul, when you meditate, you are getting in touch with that part of your soul that's in that higher dimension. And it's raising the vibration of your body here at the same time. Because when you talk about energy, vibration, frequency, they're all just different terminologies for the same thing. And when you think of, when you go into the light, that light travels at the speed of almost 300 million miles a second. So that's how fast my soul was traveling when I went to heaven. And then I came back into this body at that speed. So my vibration is automatically higher than most. So I can connect very quickly and easily. But the more you connect with your soul from the other side, the higher your vibration continues to become. And the more you get those clues and those hints of, I know, not I think. And when you follow the I knows, they're the right way to go 100% of the time. When you think with your brain, it's a 50-50 crapshoot. When you do it with your soul, and I know, it's 100% right all the time.
Great. And you just mentioned your near-death experience or death experience, as you've called it elsewhere. So you were 27 then, right? So how many years ago was that? And do you still
It
feel
was a long time ago.
Yeah, I was
I'm a
wondering.
lot older than that now.
Yeah, okay. So
So
just
I
a
had
long.
I had injured my back when I got married at 21 and I injured my back at 22. And I just knew that if I went in to have surgery, I was going to die. And that's that knowing. I just knew it. And I put it off as long as I could. I put it off for 5 years until the doctors told me I had no choice. I had to have the surgery. And I told everybody, I told my girlfriend, told my husband, I said, listen, I'm going to die. Oh, no, 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 you're just afraid. You're going to be fine. I'm like, no, you don't get it. I know I'm going to die. I know everything's going to be okay, but I know I'm going to die. And whether I stayed or came back, I just knew it was going to be okay. And sure enough, the night before my surgery, I had an MRI done with contrast dye. And I let them know that I thought I was allergic to it. I'd had it once before. I had a really bad reaction to it. And of course, they just, that's normal. Everybody has that reaction. And what do I know, right? I'm 27. I'm not the doctor. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess everybody has that reaction. And as soon as they injected the dye into me, I literally died. And I could see everything that was happening. I couldn't feel anything. When people ask how long was it, I don't know. 3, 4 minutes at least, because they had to go over and check me and then hit the crash cart thing on the wall and then wait for the crash cart to come in. And then they paddled me twice. They injected the line. They flipped up the table. They're slapping me. It was quite a period of time. But in the meantime, I was on the other side and I was getting a full life review. It was like sitting in the front row of an IMAX theater and just, what I've learned since is that everyone's is a little bit different. For me, they were just showing me the times in my life that were really wonderful. And I'd had a very difficult upbringing, very difficult childhood, and they were showing me the people that had really helped me in life, that were befriended me, that, people that loved me and cared about me, and things like my wedding, they were showing that, big events. But was interesting, and then I heard from behind me, I heard, it's not really your time. You can stay if you want to, or you can go back. It's your choice. And I didn't turn around to see who that was. I've since learned it was my guardian angel, who's not an angel, by the way, but that's the term, the guardian angel. And as she told me that, I'm watching this movie and I'm saying to myself, well, I'm not going back for my family. I'm not going back for my friends. I'm not going back for my husband. Why would I want to go back? It's just so amazing over here. It's just, for me, it was overwhelming sense of love. It was just incredible. And no pain, just, light as a feather. And then I remembered I had two small children. They were not in my movie, which was interesting. But I did remember that they were the biggest reason that I came here, and they brought me the most joy in my life. And when I decided I was going to come back from them, I was back in my body instantly.
Yeah. Quite a time. It sounds traumatic, but also life-changing, no? Life-affirming almost.
Um, yes and no. It took me a long time um, to process it and talk about it. There's something called cognitive dissonance. And that is, everything that you've learned in this lifetime, for that to be totally thrown out the window for you. And this is the reality. You have to process all that, and that takes a while. And then, when I tried to talk about it for the longest time, I would just sit and cry because all the feeling of it would just come back to me, and it was just overwhelming. It took me quite a while to be able to process it and talk about it to people. Um, but it is absolutely amazing. And I have the ability now to be able to go back and forth to that fifth dimension, that lowest level where I was at. They won't allow me to go by past that level while I'm here in this body, but I am allowed to go back and forth, and it's amazing. Every time I go there, it's just such an incredible rush. It's the highest high you'll ever have in your life. And when you meditate and you connect with your soul that's on the other side, it's the same thing. It's the highest high you'll ever feel in your life. It's incredible.
Yeah. And you've also spoken in your book and otherwise about the hierarchy of spirits, right? How does that work? Because you said there are ghosts and spirits and guardian angels who've been here in a body physically and then transcended, and then there are angels who've always just been angels. So what is the
Right. So
hierarchy
angels are
there?
a separate race. They were never human. They're a completely separate race, and their entire existence is basically to help us. But, there's rules on the other side, just as there are rules here. And they have jobs on the other side, like we have jobs here, because everyone has to have that fulfillment, right? You have to have purpose. We all have to have purpose. So, in order for an angel to help you, you have to ask them. That is their rule. So, if you're missing something, Saint Anthony, where is, my lost coin or whatever? Um, I always ask Saint Michael to protect me all the time. And it's interesting, when I first started this work and I was told to ask his protection every time before I meditate, which I do, because when you open yourself up to the universe, you're opening yourself up to good and evil. And we're all targets, because the war that's going on is a war of souls. The devil wants your soul and God wants your soul. So always protect yourself. But I remember the first few times I did it, I'm like saying to myself, who am I to ask for Saint Michael's protection? I'm sure he has so many other important things he's got to be doing. And he literally stood before me and said, you know how fast I travel. You've been there. You are worthy. Everyone is worthy. I can be everywhere almost at once. Ask. And so I do every time. And it's interesting because I worked with a group called NODA, No One Dies Alone. And if someone does not have family and they're dying in hospice, or even before hospice, I'll get a call from the hospital to go be with that person. And every single time Archangel Michael is in the room, he always crosses everyone over to the other side into the light. There's other people that are there as well, other entities, their family, their friends, whoever, but Archangel Michael is there every single time.
That's
Pretty
beautiful,
incredible.
really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what is a guardian angel?
So, um, so you have angels, you have choir angels. They sit to the right hand of God. They're one of the highest. They are the highest of the hierarchy of angels. Then you have um, archangels, and the archangels are the ones that help you make your soul plan for when you come back. They also do the counseling on the other side. You can also call on them for whatever it is you need help with. And they have a lot of different responsibilities. And then you have what I call minion angels, which, if you need a parking place and you're asking an angel to give you a parking place, those are the ones that kind of show up to give you the parking place. Then you have a guardian angel. Now, a guardian angel is not an angel. They were a soul, a human soul that was on this side that has some importance and significance to you specifically. It could be someone that um, was a friend or family member in a past lifetime. And when it's your time to come back here and reincarnate, one of them will step up and offer to be your guardian angel to watch over you. If no one offers, then someone is chosen. Okay. Now, your guardian angel is always around and will always jump in and rescue you when needed. Okay. Let's say, for instance, that you're drowning. I know someone that this happened to. You're drowning, and all of a sudden, you literally felt someone pull you to the surface. That would have been your guardian angel. You're driving your car, and this happened to me, and you hit black ice. And she definitely took that wheel. And I mean, I went around ambulances, the fire truck, and a police car and came right through. And I don't know how. Definitely my guardian angel steering that vehicle. So they will step in at any time. The regular angels, you have to ask, but a guardian angel, no. Now, your guardian angel can change, and it's rare, but it can happen. Say you had someone on this side that passed away that you were very, very close to. Could be a parent, could have been your husband, could have been a best friend or child, someone that wanted to be your guardian angel. They ask on the other side, they're allowed to do that, and your original guardian angel steps back and oversees. So now you have two guardian angels, not just one, you have two, which is great. And then you have ascended masters on the other side. The ascended masters were human, or not necessarily human, but walked the earth, because you have, like Ganesh is an elephant, but so we can reincarnate as animals, okay, and trees, and plants. So it's a soul that walked the earth at one point in time, and it just projects in whatever way it wants to, okay? But the ascended masters were always souls that have walked this earth, and they have finished their education here. And with the exception of Jesus, who came back, they don't reincarnate any longer. And I have a sister that passed who was Hindu. And I always used to joke to her, she's an amazing guide for me on the other side. And I always joked to her on the other side for years that, you're so knowledgeable and you give me so much information. I said, you should have been an ascended master. And she would just joke and laugh. Well, one day I asked her, because she had the most horrible life here on earth. It was incredible. And she visited India many times. And she died a horrible death. She suffered a lot um, during her death. And I asked her, I said, why? Why would you write that plan? Why would you do that to yourself and come back like that? And her answer to me was that she is on the path of being an ascended master. And she cannot counsel everyone unless she has gone through what everyone here on this planet has gone through. And she said she still has a few more reincarnations to go, and then she'll be done. So they're always teaching me from the other side. No matter what I do, they're always giving me information and um, teaching me how the things work there as much as here.
Yeah, very powerful, really, what your sister said. And, talking about reincarnations, we read a lot and we hear a lot about how certain souls travel together. So, how does that work? And, there's so many toxic relationships, on and off relationships that you can't get out of. So, how do you make sense of all that?
So there are, I believe, 13 ascended masters, and each ascended master has a soul group. And you travel from lifetime to lifetime with that soul group. Okay. And yes, there are millions of souls in each soul group, but those are the people that you choose to interact with. So we create karma in this lifetime by doing something to someone else that we do not have remorse for and we do not make amends to. Okay. You are owing that person a karmic debt in another lifetime. So one of the reasons that we come back here is to collect our karmic debts and to pay the debts that we owe. Now, karma is not a bad thing, okay? It's just how we learn our lessons. So when you're planning your life before you come back here, um, you get together, first of all, with the people that you're going to pay the karmic debt to and the people that owed you. And, a lot of people, they don't like their parents. They can't stand their mother. Well, she had six of us. None of us like her. None of us get along. Maybe it was just a karmic relationship. Her only job was to come here and give birth to you. That's it. Okay? Everything that happens in this world, on this earth, and it's always happening for your highest and best. It's never happening to you, it's happening for you. And this is how you have to look at life. You have to change that perspective. You're not a victim. They're doing things to help you at every opportunity they can. Okay? Let's say you stole money from somebody in a past lifetime. They're not going to come into this lifetime and rob you blind. That's not what they're going to do. They're going to come teach you maybe how money works, because money is energy. That's why it's called currency. Maybe they're going to come into this lifetime and be your boss so that you now value the money and understand that it's energy. Okay? They're going to come into your life here somehow in your plan to help you learn one of your lessons. This is what it's all about. So there's three types of relationships. There's a karmic relationship, there's a soulmate relationship, and there's a twin flame relationship. Twin flames are extremely rare, so I'm not even going to get into that too much. They're literally one soul that's split into two and reincarnated forever on after in two separate bodies. Okay. Sometimes one comes through and the other's up there. Sometimes they come through together. There are only a certain number of them here on the planet at any given time. I want to say it's like 130 million, something like that. I don't know. It's not a big amount, but those are the people that came here to make a difference and change the world. They have a very, very important path. Um, they follow a very specific pattern. They're very popular now because of the movies that came
Yeah.
out. Trust me, most of the people you're meeting, you're not a twin flame. Trust
Mhm.
me. It's very, very complicated, very complex. Most of the people that you're meeting are soulmates, okay? Or karmic relationships. So a karmic relationship, you'll know it's a karmic relationship because once one or the other has learned the lesson you're supposed to learn, the relationship's over immediately. It's almost like you woke up one morning and said, why do I even have this person in my life? And remember, everything is a relationship. You're in a relationship with your family, your friends, your employees, your customers. Everything is a relationship. So maybe you've got this one friend who's been your best friend forever, right? And then all of a sudden you wake up one morning, you're like, why do I have her in my life? She's so depressing. She's so negative. She's so this, or she's an alcoholic, or she's this. Or suddenly you're learning your own self-worth. Guess what? She taught you self-worth. Boom. Don't need her anymore. Done. Bye. That's how it works. So that's a karmic relationship. Just there to either teach you something or you teach them. A soulmate relationship, on the other hand, is also there for you to teach them a lesson or them to help teach you. But a soulmate relationship does not have to end when the lesson is learned. A soulmate relationship, it feels really good. It feels like an old pair of shoes. It feels really comfortable, like you've known this person forever, right? Where a karmic relationship, you're always looking for the red flags. You're looking over your shoulder all the time. When's that shoe going to drop? Okay, that's the difference between the two. And the soulmate relationship can continue your whole life if that's what you wrote into your life plan. And we have a lot of soulmates. I have one of my children, my middle one, was my soulmate for a long, long time. Kind of gone his own way a little bit now that he's got his own family. But yeah, I had a dog that was definitely a soulmate. So you'll know the difference. You'll know the difference. You'll feel the difference. But we have 5 lessons that we all have to learn. And this is why we keep repeating the same thing over and over again until you learn it. Um, you know, the first lesson of self-worth. And this is why people keep getting into the same bad relationships over and over again, because they have not learned that lesson of self-worth. And it's not value, because that's what other people place on you. Self-worth is the understanding that you are so important. Do you know you're the only one of you in this whole universe? Even if you're a twin, okay, you're different people. You have different likes, different dislikes, different philosophies. You are only one of you in this whole universe. That's how important you are here, okay? And it is not selfish and it is not narcissistic to put yourself first. If you don't put yourself first, you're not going to be here, are you? Society wants you to think that it's selfish. It's not selfish. It's where
Yeah.
everything else starts from. And no one has power over you. You can't make me like you. You can't make me hate you. You can't make me anything, right? That's me. We have
Yeah.
to own that for ourselves. No one has that power over you, and no one can make you happy. I hear too many people, oh, when I find the right person, I'll be happy. No, 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 it doesn't work that way. You find happiness first, and when you do, you will attract like a magnet everyone else that's happy around you, because we are magnets. Everything is energy, and we're always attracting or repelling at any given time. Okay? So which are you doing? Are you repelling or are you attracting? We want to attract all the good stuff, right? Repel all that stuff we don't want, attract all the good stuff. That's the name of the game.
Yeah. Right. So you said there are five things, right? So the
Yep,
first
there
is
are five
self-worth. Yeah.
lessons.
Five
Yep. So the
lessons. Yeah.
next lesson is trust and communication. And you have to trust, first of all, that there is a higher power. Doesn't matter what you call them. You can call them God, Buddha, Allah, doesn't matter. There is only one. That's it when you get to the other side. You also have to trust that there is a plan and that you made this plan and that everything that's happening for you is happening for a reason. Ask the reason. Find out the reason. You know, I had two falls lately. I fell off a ladder and then I slipped and fell in a bathroom. Now I'm sitting here going, wait a minute. What's the spiritual meaning behind that? And it's not what you think it is, because it certainly it caught me by surprise, but it was like, I needed that little. It has to do with getting off your spiritual practices. And I had stopped meditating as soon as I get up in the morning before I go to the gym and start my day. I had stopped writing my intentions in my journal for the last month. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. They're going to boom until you understand what the lesson is. They're always teaching you. So trust that there is a plan. If you're off the plan, that's what's going to happen. The universe is going to step in somehow and put you back on your path. Like I said, nothing's happening to you, it's always happening for you.
Yeah.
And you also have to be able to communicate your wants and your needs to other people. We don't know by osmosis what everybody wants and needs. You have to be able to communicate that. And then sex is just another form of communication. Excuse me. If you can't communicate and trust outside the bedroom, you're not going to be able to trust and communicate inside the bedroom. It's that simple. Okay.
Yeah.
And yes, sex is a natural part of life, because without it, we wouldn't have any more people, would we?
No
Okay.
more reincarnations.
That's it. That'd be the end of the race.
Yeah. So that's
Then you
three,
have
right? Self-worth,
that's no, that's
trust,
two.
and
That's trust and communication kind of go together.
okay. Okay.
Then you have unconditional love. Unconditional love is very difficult for a lot of people. And it means just what it says, loving someone without condition. You don't love them only because they go to work and they're paying the bills. Suppose they get in an accident, you have to take care of them. Are you going to still love them? Think about your children. Everybody unconditionally loves their children, right? Well, suppose your child does something horrific. They murder a neighbor in a fit of rage and they go to jail the rest of their life. Are you still going to love your child? You're not going to like what they did, but hopefully you're still going to love your child. And it gets more difficult the more you make it difficult. So I had someone say to me, oh, yeah, well, those are all people that you're in close relationships with. Okay, well, let's say a drunk driver took your child from you. Are you going to spend the rest of your life in hate, right? Directing that and eating yourself up? Or are you going to understand that it was probably part of your son's life? He's in a better place. I guarantee you that. And it's a lesson. obviously not just for you, but for the person driving. Maybe it's a lesson for the police officer that's arresting them. There's lots of lessons to go around everywhere, but your lesson is clearly unconditional love. To continue to love your child and be grateful for the time that you had them here, right? Because technically they're gifts from God's. They can take them back at any time, right? They're
Yeah.
gifts. They're absolute gifts. Then you
Yeah.
have money and balance. Everything in the universe has to stay in balance. This is why we have the day and the night. We have light and dark, left and right, up and down. Everything has to stay in balance. Money is energy. That's why it's called currency. And it's what we use in this 3D world to show whether or not your life is in balance. And when you talk about politicians with all the extra money, well, guess what? They're way out of balance, aren't they? Because now that's just evil that's taken everything over. Again, good and evil everywhere. But let's say that all you do is work all day. You work 80 hours a week. Well, now you have no time for your friends, your family, your hobbies. Your life's out of balance, right? And then you're just hiding that money away. You're stashing it in the bank because someday I might want to do something with it, right? Well, you don't even have enough self-worth to spend the fruits of your labor on yourself, do you? Money is energy, so it flows. If you think of a piece of wire with the energy current going through it, or a river that's flowing with all that water and that energy, right? This is how you have to understand how money works. The more you put out, the more comes back. The universe will always make sure you have enough for what you need. Everyone is meant to live a life without lack, a life of abundance. And if you know that, you understand that, and you trust it, it's back to trust again. This is how your life will work. And all you have to do is ask. When you learn how the universe asks, how the universe works, when you ask your angels and your guides to help you with things, they will. Absolutely, they will. Even a beggar on the street who has chosen that life because he wants to live that experience, believe it or not, they want to live that experience, just like my sister did. Um, if they want a bed or a meal for that night, all they have to do is ask, and I guarantee you someone will point them in the direction to find that. Absolutely. But you have to learn how to ask. So that gets back to trust and communication again. All these lessons keep reinforcing each other. And then the last lesson there is patience. And again, we live in a world of instant gratification. Everybody wants everything right now. No one wants to wait. And it doesn't work that way. Everything comes to you in the time that it is supposed to come. Suppose you wanted to get married and buy a house and you're 10 years old. How foolish would that be, right? They're not going to drop a house on you and here's a husband, right? No. It comes in the time that it's supposed to. And let's say you're 40 years old and your biological clock is ticking and you're like, "Huh, I really wanted to have kids." And well, doesn't mean it's still not going to happen if that's what you wrote in your life plan. Maybe you're going to marry someone a little bit younger who has young children and you're going to end up stepping in and raising them. You don't know the plan. You just have to kind of learn how to ride the roller coaster and know that whatever's happening in your life, this is the story that you wrote for a reason.
Yeah, wonderful. So, June, how do you learn how to ask? You've mentioned meditation and raising your
Everybody
vibrations.
knows how to ask. Since you're a child, you know how to ask. Hello, I'm hungry. I want food. Buy me this. You know how to ask.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how to ask. So when you pray, you're asking, aren't you? And when you're meditating, you're listening and getting your answers.
Okay. Is there any meditation? Is there any method that one can, try?
So if anybody wants to send me a message through my website, juneedwood.com, I'll be happy to send you the directions to meditate properly. But yes, there is.
Hmm.
There is a proper way to meditate, and I only recommend people meditate 3 times a day for 20 minutes, no more, no less, until they're very good at what they do, because it's going to take you 18 or 19 minutes to connect to your soul at that point. And until you know what you're doing, anything more than that, you're going to end up becoming ungrounded. And people are always, what does that mean, becoming ungrounded? Well, let me tell you. I was home one day and I was baking meatballs in the oven. And I checked them and they weren't quite done yet. And I'm like, oh, I got another 5 minutes. Let me just sit down and meditate for 5 minutes. And I did not set my stopwatch, which I always do. And by the time I woke up, literally from my meditation, it was a great meditation, but almost an hour had gone by. So I'm like, oh my God, where'd the time go? I run upstairs, I grab my laundry. I'm like, I got to get the laundry started. I come down and I notice the oven's on and I'm like, I forgot to shut the oven off after I took the meatballs out. Then it hit me. I never took the meatballs out. This is what ungrounded is. You're total airhead.
Yeah,
You don't want to
interesting.
go around like that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm sure people will log in and learn how to meditate the right way. So tell me, June, finally, your relationship mastery program, you have a lot of things that you offer. Could you talk about a little bit of that?
So the relationship mastery program, I geared it for the most part towards people having difficulty in their relationship, whether it is a marriage, a separation. It's since grown, and I've got a lot of people that own businesses that want to attract better clientele or more clientele or better employees. Um, People that want to have a relationship in their life with someone special that they haven't been able to bring in, people that just want to raise their vibration, understand how energy works, the law of attraction, and balance their energy so they can maintain it. And that's the key to everything is balance. And a lot of people that have done the law of attraction realize that once they've achieved it, they crash and lose everything because they have not been taught how to balance their energy. And it's not the easiest thing to do. It takes a while. It's a 7 week program. Most people, if they don't shift by the third or fourth week, have to start the program over again from the beginning because it was divinely created with the angels. And when you do the program in a timely manner, straight through, it's just incredible. Your entire life changes. I could tell you, actually, there's a lot of testimonials on my website. If you go listen to them, there's some videos, there's lots of reviews. Changes people's life like you can't believe. Unfortunately, during COVID, a couple of my students backpedaled a little bit. They went back to what they were doing before and stopped everything that they learned and had to go back in and do the program again. They have lifetime access, but it's a lot harder the second time because when the universe gives you a gift, if you don't appreciate it, they're not going to give it to you so easy the second time. Um, but it's amazing. It will really change people's lives for the better.
So the program is for couples. Who is it for? Or is it just for yourself
No,
and to raise
one
your
person,
vibration? Hmm?
one person.
One
I
person.
only work with one person at all.
Is
You
this
know,
for
you're gonna,
relationships or is it for yourself?
it's for relation. Well, everything's a relationship. You're
Yeah,
in a
so everything
relationship with
basically.
everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's to change you because it only takes one person to make or break anything in life. When you change, everything around you changes. When you do something different, everyone around you has to do something different. That's how it works. So, I mean, literally, I reunited hundreds and hundreds of couples that were in the midst of divorce or separation or already divorced from one person doing the program. Because once you understand how the energy works, if you know everyone that's in your life is on that same energetic frequency as you are, just like the radio station, like you said, you can't get the station in if you're not on that frequency.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't like what's in your life, you raise your vibration, you raise your frequency, everyone else drops off, and everything you want starts coming in. That's how it works. And when you're in such close proximity of someone in your life that you've been with for a long time, this is why they're on the same energetic vibration as you are. They're on the same frequency. So when you raise yours, if they're meant to be with you, theirs will rise as well. And things change so dramatically that other people in your life will start asking you, what are you doing differently? What have you done? What's different? And I tell them about the program, teach them the program yourself. They can't come in and do the program, they didn't buy it, but they can teach them everything that I've taught them, and their lives can start to change as well. It's absolutely amazing. I have people teach their children my program. They did videos and sent me that they started teaching their children my program, and life is just amazing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, June, for doing this. Any message finally for whoever's listening in?
Start following your path. Start learning how to meditate and listening to your soul, and start going with I know, not I think.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
lovely words. I know more than I think. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's great. Thank you, June.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Thank you for having me.